The awakening signal. Dr. Sarah Chen wiped the sweat from her brow as she stared at the readings on her tablet. The electromagnetic scanner was going crazy, picking up signals that shouldn't exist in the middle of the Sahara Desert. Her team had been searching for weeks, following ancient trade routes and forgotten paths. But this was different. This was something entirely new. "Professor, you need to see this," called out James, her graduate student, his voice carrying across the desert wind. He was kneeling beside a section of sand that looked no different from the rest, but his ground-penetrating radar was showing something extraordinary. Sarah hurried over, her boots crunching on the hot sand. "What have you found?" "There's a structure down there about 20 feet underground, but look at these readings." James pointed to his screen, his hand shaking slightly. "The material composition doesn't match anything in our databases. It's not stone, not metal, not any known material." Sarah studied the data, her heart racing. The structure was massive, perfectly symmetrical, and appeared to be made of some kind of crystalline substance that was actively generating electromagnetic fields. "How is that possible? There's no power source that could sustain this for... How long has this been here?" "Based on the sediment layers, at least 12,000 years, replied Dr. Hassan, their geological expert. "But that's impossible. No civilization from that time period had the technology to create something like this." Sarah made a decision that would change everything. "We dig. Now. I want this structure exposed by sunset." The excavation took 3 days. As they cleared away thousands of years of sand and debris, the structure began to reveal itself. It wasn't just a building or monument. It was a perfect pyramid, but unlike anything ever discovered. The surface was smooth as glass, made of a translucent material that seemed to glow with an inner light. Strange symbols covered every surface, symbols that didn't match any known language or writing system. "It's beautiful," whispered Zara al-Rashid, their local guide. She had been unusually quiet during the excavation, but now she stepped forward, her eyes wide with recognition. "My grandmother used to tell stories about the Glass Mountain. We always thought they were just legends." Sarah looked at her sharply. "What stories?" "Stories about the Watchers, beings who came from the stars and left guardians behind. They said the guardians would wake when humanity was ready to join the greater community." Zara's voice grew distant. "But they also said the guardians would test us first." Before Sarah could respond, the pyramid began to hum. The sound was low and deep, vibrating through the ground and into their bones. The symbols on the surface started to glow brighter, pulsing in complex patterns that seemed almost like a heartbeat. "Everyone, back!" shouted Commander Marcus Webb, the military liaison assigned to their expedition. He'd been skeptical of the whole operation from the beginning, but now his hand was on his sidearm, his eyes scanning for threats. Sarah ignored him and stepped closer to the pyramid. The humming grew louder, and she could feel something calling to her. Without thinking, she reached out and placed her palm against the smooth surface. The world exploded in light. When Sarah's vision cleared, she found herself standing in a vast chamber that couldn't possibly exist inside the pyramid. The walls were covered in star maps and images of countless worlds, each more beautiful and alien than the last. Before her stood a figure made of pure light, humanoid in shape, but clearly not human. "Welcome, daughter of Earth," the figure spoke, its voice resonating directly in her mind. "I am the Guardian, left here by the ancients to watch and wait." "Who are the ancients?" Sarah asked, somehow knowing she could communicate with this being. "The first civilization to achieve true harmony between science and wisdom. They seeded the galaxy with knowledge and guardians, helping younger species find their way to the stars. But they also left warnings for those who might misuse such power." The Guardian gestured, and the walls around them shifted, showing images of a blue-green planet. Earth, but not as Sarah knew it. This Earth was covered in cities of crystal and metal, with ships that sailed between the stars as easily as boats crossed oceans. "This was humanity's first attempt at galactic civilization," the Guardian explained. 50,000 years ago, your species achieved incredible technological advancement. But with that power came arrogance and conflict. You turned your weapons on each other and nearly destroyed your world. Sarah watched in horror as the images showed great cities falling, oceans boiling, and continents splitting apart. What happened to them? The Galactic Council intervened. They couldn't allow a species capable of such destruction to spread to other worlds. Humanity was quarantined, your technology stripped away, your memories erased. You were given a chance to start over, to learn wisdom alongside knowledge. But now the quarantine is ending, the Guardian continued. The pyramid's activation has sent a signal across the galaxy. The Council knows that humanity has awakened the Guardians, and they're coming to evaluate whether you've learned from your past mistakes. Sarah felt the weight of responsibility crushing down on her. What kind of evaluation? Tests of character, wisdom, and unity. If humanity passes, you'll be welcomed into the galactic community as equals. If you fail, the Guardian's form flickered sadly. The quarantine will become permanent. Humanity will be confined to Earth forever, watched but never trusted. How long do we have? The Valdorian Empire ships are already en route. They will arrive in 7 days. You must prepare your people, Dr. Chen. The fate of your entire species rests on what happens next. The vision faded, and Sarah found herself back in the desert, her hand still pressed against the pyramid's surface. Her team was gathered around her, their faces filled with concern and wonder. Sarah, what happened? James asked. You were glowing. The whole pyramid was glowing. Sarah looked at each of their faces, seeing the trust and hope in their eyes. She thought about the Guardian's warning and the impossible choice before her. She could hide this discovery, keep it secret, and protect humanity from a test they might not be ready for. Or she could trust in the best of human nature and give her species a chance to prove themselves. Commander Webb stepped forward, his expression hard. Dr. Chen, I need to know exactly what you experienced in there. This is a matter of national security. Sarah met his gaze steadily. No, Commander. This is a matter of human security. All of us. Every person on this planet. She turned to address her entire team. What I'm about to tell you will sound impossible, but you need to listen carefully. The future of humanity depends on what we do in the next 7 days. As Sarah began to explain about the Guardian and the coming test, she noticed Zara nodding slowly as if ancient memories were finally making sense. The pyramid continued to hum behind them, its light pulsing steadily against the darkening desert sky. Somewhere high above, Sarah knew, alien ships were already adjusting their course toward Earth. The test was about to begin, and humanity had no idea what was coming. But as Sarah looked at her team, she saw something that gave her hope. She saw curiosity instead of fear, determination instead of despair. She saw humans doing what they did best, facing the unknown with courage and working together to find solutions. Commander Webb, she said firmly, I need you to contact every government, every space agency, every scientist on the planet. Tell them to look for more pyramids. The Guardian said there are others, and if we're going to pass this test, we need to find them all. Webb hesitated, clearly torn between his orders and the magnitude of what he'd just heard. Finally, he nodded. I'll make the calls, but Dr. Chen, you better be right about this. Sarah looked up at the stars beginning to appear in the evening sky. Somewhere out there, humanity's future was approaching at the speed of light. I hope I am too, Commander. I really hope I am. The pyramid's light pulsed once more, sending its signal deep into space, and Sarah knew there was no turning back now. The test of humanity, the discovery of the pyramid in the Sahara, was just the beginning. Within 48 hours of Sarah's contact with the Guardian, similar structures were found on every continent. The Crystal Pyramid in Antarctica, the Jade Pyramid beneath the Amazon rainforest, the Obsidian Pyramid in the depths of the Pacific Ocean. Each one was perfectly preserved, each one humming with the same otherworldly energy. World governments scrambled to respond. Emergency sessions of the United Nations were called. Military forces were deployed to secure the sites. Scientists from every nation converged on the locations, working together in a way that hadn't been seen since the International Space Station program. Sarah found herself at the center of it all. As the first person to make contact with the Guardian, she became humanity's unofficial ambassador to the alien presence. She traveled from site to site, placing her hand on each pyramid and receiving fragments of information that she shared with the growing network of researchers. The tests are different at each location, she explained to the assembled UN Security Council via video conference. The Antarctic Pyramid seems to focus on environmental stewardship. The Amazon Pyramid tests our ability to work with nature rather than against it. The Pacific Pyramid is all about exploration and discovery. Secretary General Maria Santos leaned forward. And what about the original pyramid? The one in the Sahara? That one seems to be the central hub, Sarah replied. It's where the final test will take place. But I get the sense that we need to pass the preliminary tests first. Commander Webb, now promoted to oversee the military response to the crisis, spoke up from his position at the Pentagon. Dr. Chen, our satellites are detecting unusual activity in the outer solar system. Unknown vessels are approaching Earth at incredible speeds. Sarah felt her heart sink. How long? Less than 72 hours. Whatever these tests are, we're running out of time. The next 3 days were a whirlwind of activity. Teams of scientists, engineers, and volunteers worked around the clock at each pyramid site. The Antarctic team discovered that their pyramid could manipulate weather patterns, and they used it to help reverse some of the damage from climate change. The Amazon team learned to communicate with the pyramid's bio-interface, creating a network that could monitor and protect the entire rainforest. The Pacific team unlocked star maps that showed safe passages through the galaxy. But it was the work being done by ordinary people that impressed Sarah the most. School children in Japan contributed to the translation of the pyramid symbols. Farmers in Kenya shared traditional knowledge that helped unlock the agricultural applications of the pyramid technology. Artists in Paris created beautiful light displays that somehow resonated with the pyramid's energy signatures. Humanity was working together in a way that transcended borders, languages, and old prejudices. For the first time in history, the entire species was united in a common purpose. On the final day, as the alien ships entered Earth's orbit, Sarah stood once again before the Sahara Pyramid. This time, she wasn't alone. Representatives from every nation, every profession, every walk of life had gathered in the desert. The media had dubbed them the Assembly of Humanity, and Sarah couldn't think of a better name. The ships appeared at noon, their shadows falling across the desert like eclipses. They were massive, elegant vessels that seemed to be made of the same crystalline material as the pyramids. As they descended, Sarah could see that they weren't just ships. They were floating cities, home to civilizations that had long ago learned to travel between the stars. The largest ship landed gracefully, nearby, and a ramp extended to the ground. The beings that emerged were unlike anything Sarah had imagined. They were tall and graceful, with skin that shimmered like oil on water and eyes that held the wisdom of ages. Their leader approached slowly, its movements deliberate and peaceful. "I am Ambassador Kethvar of the Valdorian Empire," the being spoke, its voice carrying clearly across the desert despite the apparent lack of vocal cords. "We have come to evaluate humanity's readiness to join the galactic community." Sarah stepped forward, feeling the weight of representing her entire species. "I am Dr. Sarah Chen. We've been expecting you." Kethvar's expression was unreadable, but there was something that might have been approval in its ancient eyes. "Yes, we monitored your responses to the Guardian tests. Your species has shown remarkable progress in the past few days." "What exactly are you looking for?" Sarah asked. "The same thing the ancients looked for when they first established the quarantine," Kethvar replied. "Wisdom, unity, the ability to see beyond your own immediate needs to the greater good of the galaxy." The ambassador gestured, and the pyramid behind Sarah began to glow more brightly than ever before. "The final test is simple in concept but difficult in execution. The pyramid will present your species with a choice. You can have unlimited power and technology, but it will come at a cost to other civilizations. Or you can choose a more difficult path that requires sacrifice but leads to true cooperation." Sarah felt the familiar tingling sensation as the pyramid's energy washed over her. But this time she wasn't alone in the vision. Somehow, She could sense that every human on the planet was experiencing the same thing. The choice appeared before them like a vast equation floating in space. On one side was the path of dominance, technology that would make humanity the most powerful species in the galaxy, but at the cost of enslaving other civilizations. On the other side was the path of cooperation, a slower, more difficult journey that would require humanity to earn its place among equals. Sarah knew the answer without hesitation, but she also knew it had to be a choice made by all of humanity, not just her. She reached out with her mind, feeling the connection to every person on Earth. "What do you choose?" she asked the world. The response was overwhelming. From every continent and every language, the answer came back the same: cooperation, unity, the harder path. The pyramid's light exploded outward, and Sarah felt something fundamental shift in the universe. The quarantine was lifted. The barriers were down. Humanity was free to join the galactic community. Ambassador Kethvar's form shimmered, and for the first time Sarah saw what might have been a smile. "The ancients would be proud. Your species has chosen wisely." "What happens now?" Sarah asked. "Now, the real work begins," Kethvar replied. "You have proven your readiness to join us, but earning respect among the galactic community will take time. You will need to learn new sciences, new philosophies, new ways of thinking about your place in the universe." Sarah looked around at the assembled crowd of humans, seeing the hope and determination in their eyes. "We're ready to learn." "I believe you are," Kethvar said. "The Guardian spoke truly when it said your species has great potential. You have shown that you can overcome your past mistakes and work together for the common good." As the alien ships prepared to depart, leaving behind advanced communication equipment and star charts, Sarah placed her hand on the pyramid one last time. The Guardian appeared to her, its form more solid and real than before. "Thank you," she said. "No, Dr. Chen. Thank you. You and your species have given us hope that the ancients' dream can still be realized. A galaxy where all beings work together in harmony and mutual respect." As the vision faded, Sarah found herself back in the desert, but everything had changed. The pyramid was no longer just a mysterious artifact, it was a gateway to the stars. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. They were part of something bigger than they had ever imagined. Commander Webb approached her, his expression softer than she'd ever seen it. "So what's next, Dr. Chen?" Sarah looked up at the stars, which no longer seemed so distant or cold. "Now we prove that we deserve this chance. We show the galaxy that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our weapons. It's our ability to come together when it matters most." The pyramid's light pulsed one last time, sending a signal across the galaxy. A signal that said humanity was ready to take its place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as partners in the greatest adventure of all. And in cities and towns, across the world, people looked up at the night sky with new understanding. They were no longer alone, and they never would be again.